Blue 32! Blue 32! Set! Ha!
Hello and welcome to a special edition of the Gray Matters. It's NFL time, which once again we're going to be bringing you our second annual NFL preview, where Andre rants on the likes of Will Levis and the Titans. Paul goes down the conspiracy theory rabbit hole of how the Bengals are somehow going to Bengal up this season. And I tried to hide my passion underneath my pain and absolute pungent anxiety. We're going to forecast each division. In this segment, we're going to talk about the last of our divisions, the AFC and NFC North.
The North.
Talk about our playoff predictions. That'll be coming up in another show. And we're going to pick the Super Bowl. We're going to add in a little bit of fantasy here and there with some gambling for good measure. Please note, as always, that none of our comments should be regarded as advice or tips.
None of them.
Because if you follow them, then you clearly have a gambling problem and you need help. However, we are not the place to get said help. There are lots of places out there. Leave us a comment, ask us some questions. We can direct you to those people. But once again, please do not take our advice, our picks, or our comments as gambling advice. With all of that, we're going to chop it up here and have some fun. Andre, who's up first?
All right. So we're going to start off in reverse order this time just because I swear I wish y'all could see our group chat. So we're going to save the AFC for last on this one. You'll understand the reason why in just a moment. But so we're going to start off with the NFC North, which has some new faces, some sophomore faces and things like that. Some old flames that rekindled in Detroit. So we're gonna go around the gambit real quick and kind of see where we lie. So since I know Billy's gonna have a tangent for the next section, we're gonna go ahead and let him start off this time with the NFC North. So what you got for me, man?
So I'll make this really simple. I do not see a whole lot of movement in this division happening, although the headlines, all the buzz in the media has been kind of fun, I guess you could say, and entertaining. It's been interesting. I do like a lot of what the Bears have done around Justin Fields. And even on the other side of the ball, I think what they've done with Justin Fields has been very good. I just don't think that some of the hype is going to manifest itself. Certainly not early. I think they're probably a 7-8 win team, which is definitely an improvement for them. But this talk about, he's about to make the leap, just to get this out the way. Not only is Justin Fields not Jalen Hurts, they don't have anywhere near the roster that the Eagles had last year for him to have a Jalen Hurts type of leap, even if he was what I consider to be on that level. And that's not a diss. Jalen Hurts is an amazing, he's been an amazing player since he was a kid in college. Like, people need to stop acting like Jalen Hurts came out of nowhere last year. The dude was at Alabama balling, okay? Like, let's not pretend like he just kind of showed up. But getting back to Justin Fields, we don't even need to put that kind of pressure on him. Justin Fields actually has had two really bad seasons.
Fields been that dude as long as Hurts been that dude.
But I'm saying
let's not.
His past two. No, I'm saying my point is it's literally the exact opposite of that. That's what I'm saying. Fields, because he has been that guy, because he came in with expectations, whereas Hurts, he slipped out. What was he? Second round
pick.
And people like, well, is he really going to get the starting job? Should we give him money? Okay, I'm not arguing that. I'm saying that when Fields showed up to Chicago, the expectations on him were not the same as what Hurts had. Stop making the comparisons is all I'm saying. I think that Fields is going to make a leap. It's not going to be a Jalen Hurts leap because there's no Philadelphia Eagles around Justin Fields to do that. Moving on, I think that people are expecting Minnesota to make a like kind of come back to earth. They had, if I'm not mistaken, 11 games that were decided by less than 4 points, and they like won them. Okay.
Well, they also lost both of their wideouts. They lost Thielen and they lost Diggs.
But
Now-
they still have Jefferson, right? Like they still have Jefferson, and he is a difference maker like very few wide receivers, where it's like, I'm not saying you can just throw them out, roll them out there with a bucket of parts, but it's not like they lost their number one. He's still the reason why the field tilts. And so my point is, I don't think they're going to win 13 games or 12 games or whatever they won last year, but I still think they're a double-digit win team, or close. Like they're 10 win. They ain't 14 win. They're like 9 or 10 win, right? I think that the Lions, yet again, I do believe that they're going to improve. I don't believe that they're going to make this quantum leap. I think people fell in love with them towards the end of last season because of how hard they were playing, how they were competitive. They were making this push for the playoff. They knocked the Packers out. Everybody they're the hot team that everybody's thinking is going to make that big jump. Mm-hmm. I do believe they're going to be better, but I think it's going to be like 2 or 3 games better. I think Minnesota and
2 or 3 games is like 12 wins, bro.
But my point is, I think Minnesota, well, here's what I'm saying. 2 or 3 wins. I'm saying I think Minnesota and Detroit are going to be probably both in the 10 and 11 win window. It break, you know how it is. You never know how it's going to break. My point is, I don't believe either team is going to be looking at a first round bye. Like they're not going to be competing for the number one.
So do you think they get 2 in?
I honestly, we haven't gotten it, but yes, I believe they get 2 in. And I haven't talked about the Packers because honestly, frankly, I don't think that there's a whole lot to talk about. Frankly, there hasn't been a whole lot to talk about.
Shout out to Sean Clifford.
All right. Go Bombers and Sean Clifford. Yeah. And that's about all I got to say about the Packers. I think the Packers are going to be a work in progress. I do believe that I think that they're coached well enough, and I'm not just talking about the head coach. I'm talking about the coaching staff. I think they're coached well enough to not be a laughing stock. Like, they'll be in that 6-win range somewhere, but I don't see them. There's no, oh yeah, but now it's the Jordan Love. No, like people forget, even with Aaron Rodgers, 4-time MVP Aaron Rodgers, people forget when he finally took over after Favre ended his saga, which tragically is unfortunate how he did the exact same thing to Love. Literally, it's like he followed the Brett Favre playbook that stunted his, career. He did the exact same thing.
How did it? Okay, go ahead.
Well, anyway, the point is, be a better person. All right, just be a better person. You saw
it's like life advice.
I'm saying,
right.
It's like, okay, so what? Your daddy went upside your head, and now you gonna go upside? Do better. The way that Brett Favre treated
these
him,
folks the word real quick.
Was not. Well, the thing is, it just Brett Favre, the way he treated him was not necessary. Like, you didn't have to be a jerk about it. I mean, granted, you want to keep your job, but you don't have to be a jerk. Like, no, I ain't helping him. Like, who does that?
Maybe Mr. Rogers wasn't very neighborly.
And here's the point. Whatever it is, stop being a crummy human. He's gone. My point is, Jordan
I'm just
Love,
saying, maybe that's why he got treated the way he got treated.
You know what? It's possible. You might be right.
You feel what
it's
I'm
water
saying?
under the bridge. You might be right. All I'm saying is
20 years ago.
The Jordan Love era is here. And my thing is, you don't get better without reps. He hasn't had enough reps. He just hasn't had enough NFL snaps. Okay. And so it's going to take him some time. My point is, it's not that I don't like the Green Bay Packers. I ain't got nothing against them. I just don't believe he's had enough reps. So I kind of look at it like it's going to be the Vikings and the Lions. People need to slow down on the Bears a little bit. They are going to be better because you can't get that much talent and be worse, really. But I just feel like the expectations are a little high for them right now. And I think the let's call it what it is. Packers are in rebuilding mode. So I probably would lean towards, even though I really do like the Lions, I kind of lean towards the Vikings being the class of that division, which isn't saying a whole lot.
Does it again?
Man, listen, begrudgingly, I say that, okay, because people who know me know Kirk Cousins is probably one of he's definitely in the bottom like 10 of my favorite. He's one of my least favorite players of the past 20 years for a lot of reasons. It ain't got nothing to do with him. Some of them do, but a lot of it ain't got nothing to do with him. But
All right.
Mister, you like that? Just yeah. But he'll probably win the division because he's just that talented. So there we are.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what say you, Paul? That was a revelation for me. Go ahead.
Right. I learned a lot.
Said, oh my, it was a reveal.
No, y'all know who. I mean, if you've been in our, well, you guys obviously haven't been in our group chat. If you followed us on social, you guys know Jared Goff is my guy. Like that's my guy.
Yeah, he the captain of the bandwagon because he the only one on it.
Right. Ain't nobody on the bus.
Nah.
It's a big old bus and it's empty. And I get to play all the songs I want to play.
Yep. He run his route every day.
I get to go where I want to go. Nobody's tripping. Like, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I'm a Jared Goff fan. So I'm gonna start there as far as the North goes. I like the receiver, old boy, who's the son of the bodybuilder.
Oh, yeah.
Who's also got a kid. He's got another kid. I think he's in Green Bay, if I'm not mistaken.
St. Brown.
Yep,
Yeah.
St. Brown.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a fan of the St. Brown boys.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm just a fan of their family. In the same way I'm a fan of the Ball family in the NBA.
Yeah. This is definitely on brand for you. This tracks exactly with what if you don't know Paul, then it wouldn't make sense, but trust me.
Yeah, I'm a fan of their family.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start there, and I believe they will win the division. However, I believe old Cousins is going to be barking up the tree, and I believe Love is going to be better than you guys think. I saw a lot of Love. Pause in Utah.
Right.
So I saw most of his college career, whereas a lot of America was asleep,
right,
because of the time zones. I think the kid's gonna be pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And
I agree with that, by the way.
And the fact that they had him sit for as long as they had him sit, I think what you're gonna see is a better Alex Smith. That's what I'm projecting.
Okay.
From what I've seen of him on tape, growing up, and from what I saw a little bit, even of last night, or not even last night, the preseason games over the last few years, I see an Alex Smith who's willing to take a few more risks. I think he's going to be pretty good, like pretty damn good. But it's not going to be right now. It's just going to be over time, like a Geno Smith. You know what I'm saying? He's going to take some time. But I think he's going to be good. Of course, Cousins is going to be good. I think they just lost too much in the receiving room. I think losing, it's an embarrassment of riches when you have Diggs and then you have Thielen, right? And then you bring in Jefferson, right? It's like, and of course, historically, going back to having Jake Reed and Carter and Moss, right? Like, you feel like you can just find these guys in the couch. And I think that's what's happening in Minnesota. And I think Jefferson is going to learn this year that without another guy, it's going to be hard to find room in that secondary.
it makes defense the safety is a lot better on the other side of the ball when you don't have help.
Right.
Because his job all week long is to keep an eye on you.
So I'm looking for Minnesota to take a step back.
Right.
And of course, the Bears. I mean, I love Fields because he's a Buckeye, but
yeah,
I mean, I like Clay. I want to like Claypool, but I don't trust him.
That's a great way of saying it. Yep.
I believe Claypool could be good for Fields, but I don't believe that he's trustworthy. And then they got Montgomery up out of there. He's also in Detroit, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Detroit shout out to Mal Healthy.
Yeah.
The Owl.
Shout out to the Northwest Little League program.
Yeah.
And Coach Robert Rachel.
Mm-hmm. Get him, boo.
You understand me?
Oh, yeah.
So he also coached Mayan, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
So you gotta, I think Detroit is in the best position personnel wise. I don't know if Campbell is ready emotionally. I think he's a great coach. I don't know if he's emotionally stable enough to handle the ride. But we'll see.
I honestly believe what you just said about Campbell, Paul. That is why I would give the edge to Minnesota. Mm-hmm. And it's not because I don't like Campbell.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, he's still a player, though. Like he still wears the pads.
Still wants to buckle his chin strap.
Yeah. He want to go out there and make the tackle.
I do
sometimes too hard. Yeah, but you got to know when it's time. and it's like he's still living it a little bit. But that's literally for me.
I mean, you kind of get that. Difference. You kind of get that vibe from Vrabel as well. But
he let it go.
But you also know that he's let it go.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yep. That's the difference between Campbell and Vrabel for me. Mm-hmm. Is that I can see that Vrabel has let, he's taking his pads off for the last time. And I see Campbell still wants to put his pads back on.
Like, if I put in a few good weeks of conditioning and
I can help the team.
I can at least get in there on a couple of
right. I could do punt team, you know what I'm saying? Or you know what I'm saying? Or field goal team, right. Like I said, as much as I really like Justin Fields, I love him. He just don't have any sort of structure, any sort of stability, any sort of direction. I don't see anything that he can build on to improve or anywhere to go.
Right.
So, yeah. What about you, Dre?
So, I'm gonna be quick, even though I got bombshells to drop in.
Okay. Oh, bombshells?
Yeah. I
like those.
He flying drones over us, Paul.
Right.
Well, one of it's not a surprise. So I do have Detroit as my pick to win the division. I agree with what you say for Dan Campbell. But I think because he gets everybody to play so hard, I laughed my ass off when he was talking about biting kneecaps and stuff like that. But
they really said about it.
Oh, he meant it. Serious. Oh,
he meant that. Absolutely.
He meant that in the soul.
He was like, "Let me show you."
Right. I got a little bit left from 1988.
Right.
But because Detroit was so young, I think they bought into that. Whereas that wouldn't have played. I don't think that would have played well with a more experienced roster.
No.
So I think he got them cats to play. Aaron Glenn got the defense to start playing better. At the end of last year, they was they bad. But in that last 7 games where they won 6 out of 7,
yep,
they started to improve. They started to find a voice. Right. They started to find a scheme. So I do have them, especially with Jameson Williams having a full healthy year. I like the pickup of.
Pause on that. What's up with his suspension? Is he
still got the 6? He still got the 6.
He got the 6. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but that's why I like the pickup of David Montgomery. I think that keeps some things simple. I think TJ Hawkinson being, or no, he's gone. I'm sorry, that's Minnesota. But they picked up a tight end. I'm sorry, I can't remember what his name is, but the tight end is at least decent. They have really good running backs outside of Montgomery.
They lost Williams though.
I was getting ready to say
they lost Williams, but we as a former Bengal, Marvin is still around. And so they have some experience. I like the St. Brown kid as well. And then I also like to pick up Jahmyr Gibbs. They got him playing all over the place, and Golf has found some comfort when they moved Penei Sewell over to the other side. And he's been everything that he was advertised to be as an offensive lineman. The offensive line is actually pretty decent for them. So that's why I like Detroit. Now, Minnesota, I'm gonna go ahead and get to the bombshell portion of this. I got Minnesota finishing last. The defense was terrible. Like the defense of Daniel Jones had one of the greatest playoff performances in history because
of any player wwho's ever played football.
Yeah, and I was going to say, and we 72 years,
and we barely counted because we like, man, have you seen Minnesota's defense? So even though they got my man to come over as a defensive coordinator, the one who's suing the league, Brian Flores. Even though they got him to come over, like they just don't have the players. Like this is just they don't.
Well, they got Harrison Smith.
They have parts, but they don't.
He's a Hall of Famer, but that ain't gonna be. He's just one guy. He's just one man.
Right. Yeah. Safeties aren't good. And the corners are average at best. So, and which is why you saw Daniel Jones be able to do exactly whatever he wanted to against them.
And it kind of starts up front. Honestly, I think the corners are probably decent as long as you could get. They were just Daniel Jones. He didn't even look like Daniel Jones. That's no slight to him.
He was
like Lamar Jackson.
Yes, there you go.
He had all kinds of options.
He had all kinds of time. So,
but also to kind of piggyback off what y'all saying with the Justin Jefferson portion. I think he's going to be the tree in the forest that nobody heard fall. Like, I think he's going to put up like 1,800 yards and ain't nobody going to care because they're going to be
down.
So he's
down by 17. Yeah, you're down 17 in the fourth quarter and
he catch 10 straight passes. But it don't mean nothing. Like it's going to be all for losing efforts. Especially because
Hopkins, slant boy.
Yes. Yeah. But because I think the Dalvin Cook portion of him being gone, it hurts Kirk Cousins more than people are going to think.
Okay.
Because it all else fails, he could always dump it off to Dalvin Cook and at least make a positive play.
So do you think that's going to hurt him more than Thielen?
I think it's a totality thing. Like you lost Thielen, you lost a running back that catches the ball. Like you started losing options. Kirk Cousins is a good quarterback as long as he has the options. He might be below average. Like he ain't making something out of nothing.
I believe Kirk Cousins is like an A-list Andy Dalton.
I was getting ready to say Kirk Cousins tracks almost identical to Andy Dalton, and we see what Andy Dalton is without Marvin Harrison, Mohamed Sanu, AJ Green.
Yes. But that's exactly where they are right now. They got one wide receiver and everything else is suspect. So that Minnesota I got finishing last. Now, this is where I start to, a little bit more uncovering. I actually like Jordan Love. And I think he's going to play well.
I like him.
No, I'm not talking about you, Bill. I'm saying as a player,
I like him a lot.
I think I got the Packers finishing close to double-digit wins. Like, I think he's going to be that good. See, you just snapped your neck. You don't really believe it.
You don't love for real.
You ain't got no love for love.
Mainly because
Paul, when you say, Paul, you was asleep. You was asleep at 12 o'clock when he was balling in college.
Right.
No, but I think
when he was Aggieing up. Where was you at?
But because he sat behind, he's gotten a chance to grow. He's gotten a chance to learn the playbook. But I think the key thing for him was, even though I hated the way Aaron Rodgers did him, because Aaron Rodgers didn't come into camp, he built a rapport with all the people that he's now throwing to.
These are strangers to him. Yeah.
or
Right.
not.
No, I
Or
think
not.
he did. I think he did
I
because
mean, he could
even when he
also.
played
God
when he
bless
came
the
in
dead.
last
He could
game
have
last
also
year.
did the what's our kid that we all rooted for that just passed?
Oh,
The boy from Arkansas,
yeah.
Oh, God, Ryan Mallett.
Mallett, just a gifted human, right?
Right.
And anybody who ever saw him play was like, wow. But
It's up here. Yeah.
But Mallett,
didn't.
but Mallett was a little shaking the rump, in the club at
Mallett
nighttime.
had a little Johnny football in him. Yeah.
Jordan Love seems to at least have his head on straight and he went from not being able to call a play like his rookie year to now taking command of the huddle.
Here's the thing. Side note, and I don't mean to Malika Andrews this kid, but
let me Malika Andrews this
kid right quick. He got caught up with a little herb when right before he got drafted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's not really anything because it's herb, right? But that was the one little knock that he had. Is that he got a little possession of some herb. Now I don't consider that anything. Personally, I would rather him get caught with some herb than a bottle of liquor. Personally,
right.
That's just me.
Yeah, you just channeled all your Malika Andrews in 30 seconds.
Right,
man.
Like, go ahead.
I'm gonna go ahead and say I still got faith in him, just because in the
got faith
time that he
in him.
played last year, he played well. I think through the preseason, he's going to gain experience there. But the main thing that I think that is going to come back to more of the fold, like we talk about. Minnesota may have overachieved or certain things. I think the Packers defense underachieved last year, like completely.
Yeah.
And
they were supposed to be. Yeah, they were supposed to be.
I think they're better than what they play.
Yeah.
And so I think the combination of him not being bad and the defense being better is going to get them back where it's going to at least look like more of what the Packers were supposed to be last year. Not 13, 14 wins, but I got them in the double-digit range.
Aaron Rodgers babied that defense
because
he would never throw interceptions and he'd throw the ball away. He led the league in throwaways every year.
He took the least amount of chances of any starting quarterback for the past 4 or 5 years.
Right.
Which could be a good thing, or it could also be a bad thing because
that's going to be a factor, in my opinion.
Yes.
Between in the transition of the captainship. I don't know if Jordan Love is the kind of guy who's going to throw the ball away. He might have a little Mahomes in him. He might be more Favre than Rodgers.
But dig this though, like with Aaron Rodgers not throwing the ball like into harm's way, but throwing the ball into the ground,
right,
stops the clock. It doesn't necessarily help the defense as much.
No, actually, though, if you look at if you look at their defense and see where they were on the field, where the defense started on the field, Aaron Rodgers.
I get the trade-off
one
of
the
field position versus clock, but the problem is they out on the field longer because
But if I'm on the field, but if I'm on your 30,
I gave you your shot. This is my take.
Where I'm starting.
So but I personally think that he's going to be better, and I think the defense is going to be better. For however you want to dice it up, I think the defense is going to be better. I don't think Jordan Love is starting off as far back as a lot of other people may think he's starting off.
Okay,
just because they haven't seen.
Agree there.
So, and the Bears, I actually have finishing pretty decent. I think the Bears are now where Detroit was last year, where they have, I've talked about it in a previous conference, where they have mismatched parts. The Bears now have one wide receiver. They don't have, like, they got a 1 and they got some 4s as far as wide receiver. They needed 2. Like when
they got a 1 and some 4s.
They do. They got a tight end, but he can't stay, kind of healthy.
Who's the one?
The DJ Moore. And he's legit.
He's gonna be all right.
I thought you was talking about Claypool. I was about to say
no. I got Claypool in the 4. I'm with you. Like Claypool has the talent. I don't trust him as a football player. I don't know him as
he has no football integrity.
I do not trust him as a football. When when the Steelers have decided, you know
Yeah.
what, I'm done. Like, there's nothing I can do with you. Like, the Steelers tolerated Antonio Brown through all kinds of things. I know he was putting up the numbers. I get this, but Claypool was supposed to be that.
I think there's more, but
Claypool was far more talented than Antonio Brown.
but I'm saying this,
and
I
it
think
wasn't even close, bro. Stop it. Stop it, Rev.
But let me ask you a question. No, what I was getting. No, the only thing I was going to say is, wasn't the Steelers moving off of Claypool more of a business decision?
No,
dude,
it was about Pickett. It was about you couldn't have him in the same. Remember, we in group chat.
Yeah,
we say that all the time.
Yeah.
I was like,
I just
you
thought
can't put that kid in the huddle with Pickett because he's going to ruin him.
I thought it was more of a looking back on you probably. I was thinking it was more of a we're not going to be able to pay him no way, and he's a malcontent. So
body language, horrible attitude.
Got it. Okay.
All of the extra things that you don't want in a human being.
To perfectly sum up his Steelers career was the moment where he caught the pass but didn't run the ball into the middle of the field and just kind of walked. Or I don't like my man. Oh, my fault. He celebrated. He took the time to celebrate while the clock was running.
He celebrated while the clock was moving instead of giving the ball to the official.
Yeah. So that's I'm he's a forward to further notice. Yeah.
Right.
But no, so I have them, they're mismatched in certain areas, especially also young on defense, got decent linebackers, OKD line. Like they got a corner, but not a weak side corner. They got one safety, but not a free safety. Like they got a couple more drafts to go before they, can fill in the blank there. Because they drafted they drafted like all secondary last year, like just to try to fix the secondary. Well, those cats got to grow up still. One of them is advanced, the other one's not yet. So it's just pieces. So since I'm already talking, might as well go ahead and just lay out the order again. So I got Detroit finishing with 1. The Packers coming in with about 9 to 10 wins at 2. I got the Bears actually taking a jump because for the people who don't remember last year, I said the Bears would have the worst record. So I ain't got them in the playoffs. They ain't going worst to first. But I got them with about 6 or 7 wins there. As a jump. I consider 5 wins or 3 more
wins. They won 3
jump
last year, right?
Yeah. So
6, 7 wins. That's
huge. I feel that. I think that's significant. But then I got the Vikings falling back all the way back down to earth with maybe 5 wins or something like that, losing bad on the division there, just because I don't think they have enough. So what say you, Rev?
So to be clear, I think the Packers are going to finish last in the division. It's not because I think that Jordan Love is the worst quarterback in the division. I just think he needs you need professional snaps.
He might,
and I think he needs time. Well, what I'm saying is, even if he's the worst,
if you line them all up, Jordan Love is actually by default.
I'm saying, here's what I'm saying. I think
the
when
worst
it's all
quarterback
said,
in the division.
but I'm saying when I think it's kind of like Kenny Pickett. When it's all said and done, I don't know that he's going to be considered last in a division level quarterback. I think this may be a sneaky quarterback rich division.
Right. Great analysis.
Yeah, I mean, it ain't your fault, Kenny Pickett. And it's the same thing with Jordan Love. It's not your fault. You just play in a division with Jared Goff, Kirk Cousins, and Justin Fields might be one of the most athletically talented
humans on the football field at any point.
Anywhere. Right.
Ever.
It's not your fault. But I say that only to say that I believe that my take on them next year is highly likely to be far drastically different than it is this year. I see Green Bay only winning about 6 games. Again, I think it's kind of like growing, like learning, growing pains kind of thing. I have the Bears fighting really hard to get into the 9 and 10 win range, but I don't believe it's going to happen. I just think by virtue of playing in the NFC, they're going to sneak out some really easy wins. So I think they're going to go from 3 wins to about, let's just say 9 wins. So I think they're going to pick up 5, 6, 7 games, but I still don't believe. I honestly, it's hard for me to believe I'm saying this. I think I'm way higher on Kirk Cousins than you guys are. I think that there's a lot. as hard as I've been on him because I just don't like him as a person, generally speaking.
That's cold
The
blooded.
fact of the matter is, but what I'm saying is this: I think you know how people talk about having a chip on your shoulder. I think Kirk Cousins has a legit chip on his shoulder, like it is Jordan-esque. I think that man hates the fact that he didn't get the love he felt like he deserved in Washington, even though he kept getting all that money when he was getting those franchise tags. The fact that he didn't get a long-term contract for 3 or 4 consecutive years, I think that kind of chapped him a little bit. I honestly think that just on a pride level,
let's put a pin in that. Not to cut you off. Let's not forget that he was drafted behind a guy that they traded up for to be number 2 overall.
Yeah.
So that's also there. So go ahead.
So yeah, and that's kind of my point. I think that he legit carries that chip. And I'll say this. And this is again, people who know me would be like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe you said it." I think Kirk Cousins is legitimately one of the most competitive people in it. I think humans. I think he really does care. I think he takes it seriously, and I think that's one of those intangibles that I just can't count him out.
Like all of that being said, Ledecky, right?
And that being said, I think that just to kind of clean it up here, I think it's going to be between them and the Lions. And I'm going to say this, and I know this is probably going to make Paul happy, but I kind of believe that Jared Goff also has that chip on his shoulder.
Of course.
Also has the same kind of I'm going to prove it. And I think the city of Detroit, like you were talking about Dan Campbell, Andre, how everybody rallies around him because they're kind of younger and they buy into that rah-rah type of, stuff that the veterans may not. I think everybody saw the way Jared Goff kind of got jettisoned away from the Rams. I think the whole city of Detroit is down on his luck. I think the Lions are down. I think everything about that place, it is the perfect storm. And I think the Lions are going to, by a game, beat out Minnesota for the division. I don't think Minnesota's going to take a humongous fall back, but you can't convince me that if you won 11 games by less than 4 points, you're going to get those same breaks 2 years in a row.
Right,
I think
right.
There's at least 3 or 4 games in there that they're going to fall back. Detroit picks up a couple games. They inch them out by a game. However, that being said, I think Minnesota and Detroit both get in by virtue of the fact that the NFC is not nearly as stacked as the AFC.
All right, Paul. Well, what's your order, Paul?
I got, of course, y'all know
the Fighting Golfs.
I rock with Goff. That's my guy.
That's the understatement of the decade.
Right. That's my guy. Pause. But I got a kind of in the same way I felt about the East, I feel about the North. I got nobody winning more than 11 games, and I have nobody losing. I'm sorry, and nobody winning less than 7.
Okay,
that's fair. I can kind of
that makes sense. So
absolutely.
I got Detroit coming in first, and then I have Green Bay actually. I think I have Green Bay actually both making the playoffs. I think Green Bay and Detroit get in, and I think Chicago barely misses the playoffs. And I have Minnesota coming in last because I believe Jefferson gets hurt. Because there's just too much.
He put men on the IR.
Yeah.
Right, you're on the pup list, buddy.
Yeah, they're just asking too much of you, bro. You don't have no help.
Yeah.
15 targets every Sunday with no backside help.
You're right. That is a lot of. That's just
come on, bro.
For people who don't understand, that's a lot of targets. Forget actual receptions, runs after catch. that means you are putting yourself out in the line of fire. That's a lot. You're right.
I'm just saying. I'm just estimating at least 15 targets a Sunday.
That's all he got to throw to.
Right, because there's nobody else.
And Kurt will throw it.
Remember
to you
the Randy
ratio? The worst thing that
yeah.
happened was that catch that Justin Jefferson came down with last year. He like, well, go ahead and get ready because I'm throwing it. I'm
doing it again.
Right. I'm just throwing it over there, bro. Go figure it out. Right. So, yeah, that's just the stress emotionally, physically. I don't believe he'll make it through the season. I don't believe he'll play 17 games. And or I'll say this, I don't believe he'll finish 17 games. There's a difference between playing and finishing 17 games, right?
That's true. Yeah.
I don't believe he'll complete 17 games this season. Especially with that kind of stress. And without the running back, I feel them going all the way to the back. I believe the three Detroit, Green Bay, and Chicago will actually be kind of locked up in an NFC type of way where it'll come down to December.
9 to 11 wins.
Yep.
For everybody, basically.
For everybody.
Okay.
But I got Detroit because they have the best QB1. And after that I would go with Green Bay because even though I like Fields, I believe that Jordan Love has more experience. Even in a weird way, I believe he still has more experience than Justin Fields, if that makes sense.
Well, he's been in the same offense for 4 years too, where Justin Fields is on his second offense and third head coach and all this other stuff within that period. So
So I have more. I believe Jordan Love is more stable than Fields is. So that's what I'm going. I just think that there's just too much stress on one player in Minneapolis.
So real quick before we wrap this up, I meant to bring this point up, and I'm glad you said what you said. I think one of the other keys of this is that goes for Jordan Love versus the Justin Fields debate. Because Jordan Love has been with the Packers for this period of time at this point, the play caller is going to be able to call plays based on what Jordan Love does well. Like they know who he is. Whereas Justin Fields, my man was just running last year. Like they still don't know overall what he does well yet. They have ideas on what they would like to see him do well. But I think they're still I think his offensive coordinator is going to have to grow with him as well.
Well, so Jordan Love also knows who Jordan Love is. Yeah. Justin Fields does not even know who Justin Fields is yet.
He hadn't had a chance to. It was like, hike, out of here. Like that was his offense last year. Like so
survive in advance. Is he just trying to make it the second down?
Right. So no, I dig that. But yeah, I just wanted to bring that last point up.
Yep.
Hut.
Okay, so here we are with the moment that I've been dreading and looking forward to since we decided to go ahead and do this football recap preview. So we had the AFC North, and yes, I pronounced it correctly.
No,
with an F, because there's a lot going on in this division. Some hard hitting. There's some black and blue. This is a good old fashioned division that is an arms race. The Bengals wide receivered up, the Ravens wide receivered up, the
Steelers wide
receivered up. Like they all looked around and the Browns was like, well, don't leave us out. So let me go ahead and quarterback up.
Everybody quarterback up, everybody wide receivered up.
This is a beautiful division. This is a true arms race. So for this, we are definitely gonna let Mr. Bengal, Mr. Houday, go last on this one. So I'm hesitating on which direction this can go. I'm gonna let Paul go first. I'm gonna pray and just let go and let God.
I'm the cousin that don't nobody want to grab the mic at the funeral.
TP.
And this is
not a mic. TP, go get him.
Yeah. So here we go.
Mr.
All right.
If you
I'm
ride,
gonna
you
sit
gonna
back
fall.
and sip on this tea. Go ahead, like literally sip on tea. So go ahead, Paul. You got it.
Well, let's start with the young fella because he's the easiest one to go with. Young fella in Steel Town. I like him. He don't know enough. I think they're gonna bring up the rear. I like the wide out. I like Najee. Of course, I love Tomlin. He's the best coach in the
Tomlin's
division.
he's
Easy.
best, yeah.
It's not even close.
Right.
He's the best coach in the world, in my opinion, of any sport.
As painful as it is to say it,
Maybe Don Staley, but I don't know.
They
or
neck and neck
Bolt.
there. Like
Like,
they definitely
yeah,
rarefied
yeah.
air. Once you get to that, you just picking
Yeah.
like you picking pieces.
right,
Tomlin can make me play.
right.
and actually put me in a
Tomlin
position
can
to
call me
succeed.
right now, and I'll be ready on Sunday.
Yep.
It's
And
Saturday.
it's Saturday. Right. Tomlin is great. Yeah.
Tomlin's that kind of dude for me. I believe, of course, that's a guaranteed 9 wins. I mean, let's just stop there. Nobody's going to not win 9 wins in that division.
Okay. We know the Steelers
Did
ain't.
I say that right?
I think we got it. Nobody's
you
winning less
did.
than 9.
Nobody's winning less than 9 in that division. Then we got
Go ahead. Rubber.
old Rubbin Tug up in Cleveland. I'm sorry, Billy's mom. I had to change some language on the he told me I try to keep it
She ain't
clean.
watching.
Right.
So you ain't gonna
Yeah, I
hurt
try
her
to keep
feelings.
it clean, but yeah, I call old boy old Rubbin Tug. Deshaun Watson, number 4, and he wear my number, so it's really hard for me to pause to like really deal with Cat. You know what I'm saying? Like, because he's a dude, right? Pause. But the whole rub and tuck thing, pause, right? Like, I feel like I'm Cameron right now.
I'm about to say you've only said pause 5 times so far.
I
so-
know, but dude, like, he's a whole weirdo. He's a whole weirdo. I get it, man. I get it. I like
the talent is there. That is
he's until he decided that services were more important than playing football. He
Right.
was one of the best humans to ever play quarterback. Period. Like,
just skill set,
period.
knowledge, everything.
Everything.
Top to bottom, right?
Top to bottom. He was, in my opinion, Steve McNair on steroids.
Yeah, that's a great comp.
That's what I saw when I watched him play with Steve McNair, but with so much more polish and so much more poise. Because, Clemson, HBCU, you get a different type of training.
I was going
Right.
to say he was D1 Power 5 level Steve McNair.
Yeah.
Right.
And we'll see if he's going to be that again this year. I believe he will be. But then again, we got to go to the class of the division, even though like the division doesn't have like, a lower class. Like,
There's no
now
Houston Texans in the AFC North.
There's no lower class in this
We all
division,
flying
right?
Southwest in this one. It's all
Yeah.
one. You just pick your seat.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm going to go out on a limb just for television and radio sake. I'm going to take Lamar. I'm going to take the Ravens to win a division. I love Burrow. Even though Billy feels otherwise. I love Burrow. I think he's a phenomenal player. I just don't think he's the best in the world. That's it. That's what we fight about. It's not whether I think he's good or bad. It's whether I think he's the best in the world or like number 6.
Yeah, hold on. For the people who don't know, I just want you to give a preview of my life. So I might go to bed with a
Right.
comment that hits in our group message about Joe Burrow, and I wake up and it's 72 messages
Mhm.
that have a
And
range of
65 of them are Billy.
that has a range of emotions. Like we working through the 5 stages of grief, like all through the entire thing, and I'm like, what did I miss? Like, and this is only on an hour nap. Like, this is just
Right.
this is my life.
I
So,
listen. I had a conference call. I come back.
Right.
Go ahead, Paul. I just
Right.
need the people
You
who follow us
understand my
on
pain.
on
You
streaming
un-
platforms. First off,
Right.
thank y'all, but I just need
Yes.
to let y'all know what's going on.
Right. Yes, Joe Burrow is a really, 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 really great football player. He's an excellent quarterback. He's not as good as Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes. That's it. That's my fight. That's literally my fight.
Who disagrees with you?
You.
I
All the
don't
time.
disagree with you. Actually, I really
What you do is you don't disagree, but what you do is you start like giving me like paragraphs. You know what I'm talking about, Dre. You know exactly what
You
I'm
don't
talking. You
necessarily
just
disagree,
literally
but you don't support it either. Like,
right.
you start laying out your case for, well, I'm not saying he's not Patrick Mahomes, but, and then
Right.
after that, but and
No.
those 3 dots,
It's like
I have literally never even made the Patrick Mahomes Joe Burrow comparison because I don't believe
on,
that
bro.
is a fair comparison.
Now the other day I was trolling you when the players rated Hurts over Burrow,
Yeah.
and you
I
went
didn't even
off.
know about it. I didn't even know about it.
I know you didn't know
you
about it.
didn't
That's
know
why I
about
let
it,
you
but as
know.
soon as he brought it up and he sent the one troll line, and you went Eminem on us and just started going like rap god like through the whole
Right.
Okay, all right, go ahead. Go ahead. All right.
Oh man,
I still believe Lamar is the best quarterback in the division. I don't know, Billy's about to get upset, but he's the best quarterback in the division, bro. He's the only quarterback to have won an MVP. And I'll still stand on this that Joe Burrow is the 3rd best quarterback in the division. He is a phenomenal player. He's great. He might even go to Canton, but he's still only the 3rd best player in his 3rd best quarterback in his division. I believe it'll come down to I believe Lamar and them are going to run away with it if they can keep Lamar up. Lamar and OBJ. I believe I don't know if they're outside of Pittsburgh, if there's a DB combination that can contain those 2 people.
What two?
OBJ and Lamar.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about like 2 receivers or something. I didn't know.
No.
I didn't hear
I'm
the
talking
other
about those
person.
2 humans.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. I believe Minka is probably the baddest dude in the division. Minka and TJ are the 2 baddest cats in the division, in my opinion. Outside on the defensive end, and then you have you got Chase. I believe he's the baddest man in the division. Period. Okay, and then after Chase, I would say it's Lamar. But Lamar touches the ball every down, so that would move him ahead of Chase. You understand my math here?
I do.
Because Lamar touches the ball every down, that automatically ranks Lamar ahead of Chase. But I believe Chase is probably the most dangerous man in the division with the football. And then Lamar. Okay. So we've been talking about, or not we, because I haven't been on board with that. Folks have been talking about how the Bengals have had the Chiefs number, right? And it hasn't been the Bengals. It's been those 2 safeties. Von Bell and Jesse Bates had Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce's number. That was it. Now we're going to have to see if the Bengals actually have their number, or if it was those 2 boys they just didn't want to pay. Because I believe since those 2 safeties are gone, it's going to be different on that back end. You lost 3/4 of your secondary because Apple's down in Miami. So, and if you really look at the tape, it was the defense that was spearheading the playoff runs, not necessarily, Joe Cool or even Chase. You understand what I'm saying? So I look for the Bengals actually to take a step back. I don't think the Bengals make playoffs this year. I believe the Ravens win the division, and I believe only one team out of that division gets into the playoffs. I believe it's Lamar and them.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. Hey, that's what the show is for. I appreciate Billy for exercise. He's having to find a happy place.
So much restraint right now.
He has found his happy place. He is
right.
So
I love I believe and actually I got the let me turn it. The Bengals finished behind the Browns and the Steelers. The Bengals finished in the rear of the division this year because of Joe Burrow's health, the lack of those two safeties on the back end. I believe the Bengals finished fourth in the division, and I believe the Steelers finished third, and I believe the Browns compete with the Ravens for the one playoff spot.
Wow. Okay. I'm glad you got that out there because I didn't see that coming. I'll be honest.
We got to do it. We got to do it live for TV, right?
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna.
Why you so? You still love me, Billy? Look at his face.
I'm breathing. I'm just taking it in. I just want to, I'm taking the notes occasionally, make sure I heard it right. That's why I just want clarification. Okay. That's all.
I hope I'm wrong.
So I'll go ahead. I'll be brief. I promise, because it's not a lot for me to run through. I could bore y'all with stats and players and all that, but we'll save that. We got the shows coming out every Wednesday, so I'll save some of that for then. I have the Ravens winning the division. For no other reason.
So we on the same page.
We are on the same page. I have the Ravens winning the division mainly because I don't
the best player.
Also, like when you couple OBJ with Flowers and Bateman and Dobbins, like the Ravens actually are a whole problem at this point. Like, yes. I really do believe they're a whole problem offensively. Defense is still going to be solid. The defense is going to give you what their defense is going to give you.
They lost Peters.
To me, I don't find that as bad just because Hamilton has taken a step forward from the safety position.
Peters was a corner. He was a nice corner.
He was a nice corner.
Who forced turnovers.
He did. But one, he was hurt a lot, or he was becoming more injured more often. But also I think because like the Raiders are going to shift Peters to a safety position at this point.
Oh, that's what's happening.
I think that's where he's at in his career. It's a natural progression. If you're a cover corner or then you get older, you become a zone corner. Then you go to safety. Like that's how those players end up prolonging their career. So shout out to him. No disrespect.
I was
to
hoping
him.
Cincinnati picked him up.
Yeah. No, I just think that Hamilton growing is going to be huge in their defensive scheme. So that's that. I actually have the Bengals finishing second. I do. But the only reason I have them finishing second is because of Joe's health. Not to finish the season, but to start the season. I actually don't think he's going to start the first couple of games. But the first couple of games are against divisional opponents. And then as we've seen like last year, it takes a few games for him to get into the swing. Not to say they'll lose all the games that he starts or anything like that, but I can easily see the Bengals starting off 1-3 before they really start to get this thing rolling. And
which is what they've really done 2 years in a row.
Right.
Kind of rocky getting out the block.
But you can't do that.
I just don't think you can afford to do that this year. Of all the years, I don't think this is the year they can get away with it, is all I'm saying. I had the Bengals in the playoffs, so let's not, get it twisted there. I just think the start this year versus I think Lamar's going to remain healthy. I do believe the additional weapons help. I do think a new offense, and I do highlight the fact that the Bengals lost both safeties only from the standpoint that whoever's going to be playing safety, this is going to be your first time seeing Lamar Jackson. And this is your first time seeing the new offense. And this is the first time, I think there's certain things that give you experience, just like the Bengals have the experience when they play Kansas City to say, hey, we know how to play y'all. They don't know how to play Lamar yet, especially with this new offense. And when you get new players out there, like Lamar's still fast, like it just looks different. So I think the experience level is why I have the Bengals finish in second in division, still in the playoffs, just second. I have it's a toss up to me between the Browns and the Steelers. So I guess I'm kind of on the same boat with Paul that everybody's winning 9 games because the Steelers it's somewhere written in sports code that the Steelers can't finish below 500 with Tomlin as the coach. So they go ahead and pencil him in for 9, and we'll see where it falls. I'm leaning more towards the Steelers finishing third in the division, just because of the Tomlin factor. But I still have the Browns taking steps forward. It's just that window that they were in where, Deshaun Watson's contract and things like that, and being able to keep certain players and all of that kind of mirrors up. I have the Browns looking like the Texans from a few years ago, where it's the Deshaun Watson show. And even though it's his show, like it still might only get about 8-9 wins out of it. So I have the Browns and the Steelers kind of fighting it out for that last spot, but the Browns kind of getting left to the side by just from coaching factors. Stefanski is definitely on the hot seat because he's had his moment with a bunch of talent, Baker and Odell and all the people that he's had through his coaching tenure, and it hadn't equaled a lot. So I think he's one of the coaches on the hot seat, but I got them bringing up the rear there. And that's, I mean, like I said, I don't have a lot to add other than,
Well, let me ask you a question because I'm curious about this. You said that you have Lamar being healthy. What gives you reason to believe that he's going to stay healthy, considering the past 3 seasons he hasn't finished?
The same thing that gives you reason to believe that Joe Burrow is going to be healthy.
I didn't say Joe Burrow's not healthy right now. I'm asking him a question about Lamar.
I have an answer. One, because he's going to be dropping back passing more. I don't think the demand on his body is going to be greater this season than it has been. I think he's still going to effectively use his legs. He still doesn't take direct shots a lot. The 2 times he's been hurt, because it's been the last 2 seasons. Don't slide the 3rd season there. It's been the last 2 seasons he's finished hurt. They've been from him in the pocket. I think
that's why I'm asking. It hit people the misnomer about him, and honestly, I thought that was because he ran, he would put himself in vulnerable spots. It's actually been in the pocket, and so that's why I was asking, what makes you think that he's going to hold up better this year than in previous years in the pocket where he's gotten hurt?
Because the offense is geared more towards being a balanced offense with run and pass, as opposed to like most of their offensive sets from the past couple of years have been with linemen leaning forward. Because they're still more of a ground and pound kind of offense there. Whereas this time, I think they'll be more pass pro ready as an offensive line, which will increase his protection. I think that's just more of what I see. Plus, I think a lot of times with the way their offense was scripted, they didn't have wide receivers that were get open within first couple steps kind of segments. Like, so it caused him to hold on to the ball. The 2 times he got hurt, he was holding on to the ball because nobody was open. I think he has receivers that will get open this time to get rid of the ball there. So I think overall it's just going to look
0.5 seconds of release is a big deal.
Yes.
When you're talking about getting it to receivers.
Yes.
2.9 instead of 3.4. That's an eternity.
Right.
And because he has better weapons around him, but we definitely agree there. OBJ is a big difference maker.
I think, but I think also Bateman and Flowers also, like the combination of the 3 give him more options than just Andrews. Like it just turned into like whatever random dude who was on the outside wasn't open. I got to wait for Andrews to get open. Damn, somebody hit me in the back and I'm hurt. Like I think just the overall scheme is going to look different to be able to get rid of the ball, to be able to play freer. And not put himself in harm's way. He's just standing in the pocket waiting for 4 or 5 seconds. Like I think this is going to look. It won't be Tom Brady fast, but I think it'll be a definitely a faster pace of getting rid of the ball than it has been in the past. So that's why I think he's going to be healthy.
All right. So is it my turn?
I believe that most of Lamar's injuries come from his release being elongated more than him holding the ball too long. Does that make sense?
Well, the 2 times he got hurt, though, he never got the pass off. Like, he didn't get.
That's my point.
Well, that's what Paul's saying. I'm not trying to correct Paul, but I think almost to add to that, I'll say Lamar is one of those players that unfortunately doesn't get enough roughing penalties, and they would have come up with new rules had he been a different quarterback. Some of those where he's been getting hit, taking those hits. Again, that's where I agree that elongated delivery comes in, because honestly, had he been, Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady or somebody else,
had he been Cam Newton, let's not even say
there you go. Right. Well, no,
Cam
I'm not
Newton
saying
has a much quicker release.
No, I'm saying Cam actually suffered from the same problem in that they are considered runners. I'm not talking about color. I'm saying, the fact that they're considered runners, they're tough, that kind of thing. I agree with you that it's more about his release, because a lot of them were while he's in the process and the tackle or lineman or whoever the end gets there kind of late.
You're not going to get the roughing penalty with the ball in your hand.
That's my point. Yes.
If you got to get it out.
Yeah. If you get it out quicker.
And he doesn't get it out quick enough.
Yeah. I can see that. I haven't done.
That's my opinion. Now, I can be wrong.
No, I get it. But both players that he got hurt, he got ran down from the backside.
Yes, right.
So
right.
So I mean, I get what you're saying. His release is weird. Like, he throws it overhand, sideways, underhand. Like, he does multiple arm angles.
He has arm. He has that level. I mean, Patrick Mahomes did the same thing. His arm talent is ridiculous. So it's not like he's a statue back there.
We need to stop that too. Way. His arm talent is ridiculous. Say that again, Rev.
No, I'm for real. His
Lamar
arm talent
Jackson has probably one of the top 5 arms in the entire league.
Yeah, ain't no probably, in my opinion.
right.
I don't think it's even
like we need to stop saying he can't throw.
Here's what happened. Yeah, and that's what I was going to say.
Stop that. That pisses me off.
Yeah, because what happens is whenever you say, and that's the problem whenever we do stuff like this. If you offer a critique, people think you're hating, and it's not you're hating. Like what you were saying about Burrow. I've never considered you hating on Burrow. That's not it. What I'm saying is, like with Lamar, I don't think his release, I don't think his throwing, I don't think any of that's a problem, because it seems to be working fine for Patrick Mahomes. And I think they actually are similar in how they can get the ball out in different slots. Okay.
Pat has different releases. Pat has a variety of releases.
And
that's why Pat Mahomes can do the things he does.
Right.
He's kind of like Favre or Cutler.
Yeah.
In that
very
regard.
much so. He flicks it anywhere he wants to when he gets there.
Right.
But what I'm saying was the reason why I was kind of drilling down on that is I agree with you. The only thing is I think that Lamar, it's not that he doesn't get credit from pundits and critics and talking heads. I don't think that the referees, frankly, protect Lamar Jackson the way that he deserves to be protected.
They don't protect your boy Joe Burrow the way he deserves to protect.
Okay. And so with that, I think that I think there's a problem there. But anyway, I don't want to get too far off on that. Here's what I'm gonna go like I typically do. I'm gonna go from bottom to the top.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Because I got some bombshells too.
Oh, okay.
I've got some bombshells too. Let me start by saying where I agree with Paul.
Okay.
I agree that the Bengals are going to take a step back. And when I say a step back, I don't believe it's missing the playoffs. I don't even necessarily believe it's not winning. I don't believe that they're going to win 12 games this year. However, I believe that this is going to be a war of attrition in this division. Yeah. I think I agree with both of you. I think nobody's losing more than 8 games.
Everybody's winning
except 8. I do. Now I'll say this, and this is the first bombshell. I think that we are going to, and this is why I asked those questions first. I think and I mean this sincerely, I am so glad that Lamar Jackson got his money for a lot of reasons and all the different things we've talked about for the past 2 years.
Right.
I think that contract is going to set the Ravens back for the next 5 years because I don't think Lamar Jackson finishes this season healthy. I believe he's going to show and demonstrate that we just don't want to believe what our eyes are telling us. He can't finish seasons. And I think that the Ravens are going to finish last in that division. I believe the Ravens are going to finish at like 8-9, 9-8-ish, and they're going to be the bottom of that division. If they're not the bottom of the division, and maybe, oh, that's too hyperbolic, then it'll be Cleveland. And it's not because of anything other than the fact that while we focus so much on the quarterbacks, and you can argue positioning with that, I just think if you look at rosters, I think that, frankly, what we've seen from the Ravens the past 2 seasons is that their defense got depleted through injury. Their offensive skill players got depleted through injury. We forget they actually called me because I don't have an agent and asked me if I could give them some burn at the running back position the past couple of years because it was that bad. And I was like, why ain't y'all calling Andre? And they was like, nah, man. He said he don't do that no more. So they've been that depleted. And I don't know if it's an issue with the health, the training staff, or doctors or whatever.
I'm going the last 2 that you mentioned, the training staff, the weight person.
Okay, whoever
they got rid of all of them. All of them had to go. So
now here's the other thing I think, and this is definitely not anything with Lamar Jackson. I think we forget that when we're talking about coaches, when we're talking about systems, we forget that the Ravens are installing a new offensive system. Now, granted, I believe that I forget his name now, the guy from Georgia. I believe it's going to be tailored more and fit Lamar more.
Todd Monken.
But I also, thank you. I believe Monken is going to actually give a system that, like you said, it doesn't leave them vulnerable to having to hold the ball for 6 seconds and scrambling around. But at the same time, it is new. Mm-hmm. And you don't get new systems installed and just think, oh, well, we just going to go out here with live bullets, roll the ball out there. Let's face it, OBJ, there's a reason why OBJ is playing for the Ravens. He hasn't been healthy. I think that we are overvaluing the Ravens. No disrespect to all those great players, because I believe that they would be scary 3 years ago to me. They would be my Super Bowl pick if you comprise the same set of players 3 years ago. They can't stay healthy. I think that Lamar is actually going to I think the Ravens are actually going to realize that, not that it was a mistake, because I refuse to attach that to Lamar Jackson, because I think he's too great a player and I like him as a human, as a person. But I think they're going to suffer because they're not going to be able, frankly, I think OBJ's addition is more, what do you call it? More bark than bite, because he's got to stay on the field too. Now that we got that bombshell out the way, I'll get to the Browns. I don't believe that they have. It's like, it's not that they don't have a complete team. I don't think they have a complete team that will work in the AFC. You're only going to get 7 playoff teams in. They're going to come in like 9th in the conference, like somewhere in that range. It's not going to be because they're awful. I just don't believe that they're going to have enough. I think their running game is probably, if not the best, it's top 2 or 3 in the league. But people don't run the ball anymore. Not like that. As you can tell, but that's why the running back, we've been having all these conversations. We haven't talked much about it these past several episodes, but that's why nobody really talked about paying running backs. The Browns have had the best running back room in the NFL for the past 3 seasons, since Baker Mayfield's been there. They've had the best running back room, or at least top 3 or 5 for the past 3 seasons.
Better.
They have not. My point is, running has been a strength. It is still a strength, and it's not going to matter. It's not going to matter. It's just not going to make a difference. They're still only at best an 8 or 9 win team. I think you're going to have 2 500, and because it's an odd season with the number of games, 17. I don't know if it's going to be 8 wins or 9 wins or whatever, but I believe the Ravens and the Browns are both going to have somewhere between 8 and 9 wins. I believe that the Browns, they'll take a step forward because I'm not going to be that disrespectful to your man. I believe Deshaun Watson is a pro.
Rubbing Tug.
He weird, but he's a pro.
No, he don't.
He's
get
a pro.
name. He Rubbing Tug from here on out.
Either way, a full season with the same stuff in place. He ain't dealing with lawsuits and paying nobody off and attorneys and whatever.
Still got one out in there.
Okay, all I'm saying is that man got a fully guaranteed contract, generational wealth. Like, the bottom line is he can focus like he couldn't focus last year. They were literally talking about how many games he's gonna get. Whatever.
That's absolutely true.
So I believe he can actually focus.
And his salary is deferred, so he's only making $1 million this year. From
either way,
eventually they coming home to roost.
They're gonna have to pay him eventually.
Coming home to roost.
It could be that Bobby Bonilla contract for all I care. The point is, he's not broke. He ain't never gonna be broke again a day in his life. They got to pay that man his money. Yeah. So I believe he can focus, and I believe a year of focus. He got all that junk out the way last year. He's good enough that they will not only win 4 or 5 games. They'll win, 8, 9 games. Now,
if he's him, they're gonna win 10 plus.
I don't believe he's ever going to be him again. Just for the record, I don't believe he's ever going to be Houston Texans Watson again. But that's not saying much. He was, like you said, he's one of the best 4 or 5 actual football players to play the position, top to bottom, just intangibles and tangibles. Mm-hmm. There's nothing that he couldn't do in Houston. Yeah, it's a shame that he had O'Brien. We ain't got time to even go into that.
Jesus,
there's a lot.
That's a whole different show,
right? That's a whole that's a series right there. And I believe
him and Jeff Fisher, boy.
And with that, I'll say this, and I'll double back just a little bit with the Ravens. I think Harbaugh has gotten way too much leverage and credit out of those Joe Flacco years and Ray Lewis and Terrell Suggs and the safety Miami Ed Reed years. I don't. Why think
would you say he got too much credit? Like,
no, I'm saying
there and it happened. Like,
no. What I'm saying is there are lots of. I'll give you a name. I think that Mike Ditka got a lot of leverage out of having a really stacked team with a lot of talent. And that's not to say he's a bad coach. I'm not at all saying that Harbaugh is a bad coach. I'm saying I think sometimes the way that we view coaches, sometimes certain coaches get a little too much credit, just a little bit, and others don't get enough. So I think that he's going to get exposed.
Coaches don't make tackles.
He's going to get exposed is all I'm saying.
Who?
I think that Harbaugh is going to get exposed.
How?
Okay, let me finish. But I was only pointing out the reason why I think they're going to finish last.
Hey, he's what? How many years has he been a coach?
I don't think, and I think he's underachieved with Lamar Jackson. That's my point. You have a unanimous MVP, and everybody blames Lamar. And I'm the first one to throw out his record, how he's 1-4 in the playoffs. Guess what? That is coaching as well. He's been out.
Sean McVay gets exposed. Not John Harbaugh, bro.
John Harbaugh can't win with Lamar Jackson in the playoffs. I said what I said. Period. Now, let me move on.
Andre, no, I want to hear what Andre got. Andre, his eyes are blinking. His eyes are twinkling. I want to hear what he has to say here.
So much. But I got to keep him. So one, we'll go. I think the words you're using for, like, I don't think he gets like too much reverence or anything like that. I think you're saying he's getting a lot of mileage off of the old playoff wins and the Super Bowls.
Correct.
So I disagree. The
Okay,
Ravens
thank
have
you.
had
That's
number
I'm
one
good. I'm
seeds.
out.
They've had 1 and 2 seeds and things like that. Like, did they underachieve in the playoffs? We'll go with yes.
That's
Is
all I'm
it,
saying.
hold on.
Happens every year.
But is that on Harbaugh or is it on the offensive coordinator who was trying out for a head coaching position and changing the damn offense to be more versatile and calling things that he's never called before? I just, we've had this conversation.
But if he's the head coach, he
relies he relies on his people to do their job.
Okay,
like
now,
he's a delegator. I'm just
not
getting
a micromanager.
All I'm
delegator.
saying is to be clear, we can agree to disagree. I don't want to make too fine a point of that because that's not the point. I don't have any real energy for Harbaugh. I just feel like bottom line is I feel like he has not served Lamar Jackson well, and I think that's going to blow up this year. That's all I'm saying.
How can you say he hasn't served him well when the man's been an MVP?
A unanimous MVP.
Because in the playoffs, which is where it all counts, 1 and 4.
1 and 3.
1 and 3. I'm sorry. So he's been in the league 6 years. He's only played in 3 playoff games or 4 playoff games. And anyway, we don't need to go down that road. They're going to finish last, so I'm done.
What was Peyton Manning's playoff record?
I don't care because he's retired.
Nobody cares.
I'm talking about Lamar Jackson and the Ravens are only going to win 7 or 8 games.
My point is,
wait a minute. It's my time. It's my time. The Ravens are going to finish last. Lamar's not going to finish the season healthy. And I believe that his contract long term is going to hamper the Ravens to really ever be able to come back. And it's unfortunate because he's going to get all the heat and vitriol that I personally believe that Harbaugh deserves a lot of.
Who wins the division?
I'm getting there.
Because you got everybody taking a step back.
I believe record-wise, everybody is going to take a step back, except for the Browns, who are going to be more competitive this year.
Okay.
I believe, and I still believe that it's going to be. Personally, I believe that the Steelers, based on a tiebreaker, are going to get a wild card, and the Bengals win the division. I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be. I think the Bengals and the Steelers are both probably going to finish. If it's not the same record, it's going to be 1. Here's why. First to the Steelers, I believe that Tomlin, like you said, let's just book it. They're going to win at least 9 games. Let's just call it what it is. So that's number 1. Number 2, I believe that the leap that a lot of these people are thinking, some of these other quarterbacks, Justin Fields and different ones are going to make, I really do believe in the Steelers quarterback. I believe.
Oh, well, yeah, Pickett's going to be.
I believe. I'm not making any wild predictions because I haven't seen enough out of him as far as long-term career stuff. But I think that Mike Tomlin was making it happen with Mason Rudolph. Like he was figuring out how to basically win games 11-14 or lose games 17 to like 13. Like I believe that Pickett is. I really believe I'm very high on that kid. Here's where I believe that, frankly, the Bengals are being undersold. I believe that they made a lot of improvements that people just kind of, because they've been relevant the past couple of years, people just kind of like poo-poo and brush it off. I believe the tight end they got from Minnesota, was it Irv?
Ertz.
No. It's
Rudolph.
No. The
Ingram.
No. Minnesota. He came from Minnesota.
Stop naming people because all you keep saying is no.
I'm saying the Bengals. They picked him up. It was Kirk Cousins, like
Irv Smith Jr.
Irv Smith Jr. Thank you. It was. I believe he is. I believe that he's actually better at his best than what they lost when my man went to the Jets. I believe that just as a actual pass catcher, route runner type player. So that's number 1. I believe that the Bengals have easily top 3 skill position players. I also believe that Lou Anarumo doesn't get enough credit. And I hear y'all talking about the safeties, and they lost Bates, and they lost, and I love my man because he's a Buckeye, right? I believe that the defense not only is going to be fine, I believe that the defense is actually going to be well, because I believe that the offense is going to, I think that the offense isn't going to be playing catch up. And that's because they're not, like Andre predicted it first last year. He told me, and I cried every week because every week I watched the Bengals in the first 5 weeks of the season, and I cried because I was like, I got to hear this man's mouth, because all he kept saying was, it's going to take the Bengals at least 4 or 5 weeks on that offensive line to gel. They're not having
Well,
to
I
gel.
told you they were going to lose to the Cowboys and the Steelers.
No. Andre, no. What I'm saying is, no, specifically when he said, well, first of all, he said they're going to lose to Pittsburgh, and the way they lost just was painful. That was number one. But more importantly, what he said was so true. They have to gel. They have to learn each other in this system. They didn't have any returning starters to protect and keep Joe Burrow upright.
Joe Burrow lost y'all those 2 games because he wanted to go.
I'm not finished.
He wanted to go big. Okay,
all I'm saying is,
what's happening?
All I'm saying is the Bengals aren't replacing coaches. They're not replacing systems. They're not replacing. They have the least amount of questions of all 4 teams in the division. There's nobody coming in there that other than, I'll grant you, the safeties, and we can argue the tight end. They're not replacing any other key components. The Ravens are replacing an entire offense, right? And so I believe that just on that, I don't believe they're going to win 12 or 13 games. I believe it's going to be probably 11-win division. I believe that the Bengals and the Steelers both get in. I believe the Ravens bring up the rear.
Wow. The Ravens bring up the rear?
Yep. I don't believe Lamar. I don't believe Lamar plays more than 6 or 7 games.
That sounds like some haters.
Wow. That's why I asked, what gives you an indication that Lamar is going to play all 17? He hasn't done it.
He's the best quarterback in the division.
He hasn't done it. He hasn't played. For every slight that we have for anybody else,
we had the 2-year sample. So he has done it before. Just the last
No. The last 2 seasons are the closest, nearest sample size we have.
But I'm just saying, you said he has never done it, and I
didn't say he's never done it. I said
he has not done it.
He hasn't done it in the past 2 seasons.
Didn't say that. Okay,
that's what I said.
No, that's not what you said.
That is exactly what I said.
It'll be on
2
tape.
Seasons.
Bro, Lamar Jackson is the best quarterback in the division.
And they're 8-3,
and it's not even close.
He can't play.
And the second best quarterback in the division is in Cleveland.
He can't play.
Okay.
And if you're telling me,
so let me ask you this.
If you're telling me that Deshaun Watson is, I'm not going to argue with you about him being better than Burrow. Only thing I'm going to say is this: do you actually believe that Deshaun Watson has the same tools at his disposal that Joe Burrow does?
He don't need them.
Okay.
He's never had them, and he don't need them.
So
he don't need them.
I just want to work on a hypothetical real quick, since your hypothetical is that Lamar doesn't finish the season.
Yes.
What is the Ravens' record if Lamar does?
I don't even know. He had the past 2 seasons.
You do know it's 13 wins.
Yeah, but
you do know.
No, I'm just because you're putting it on his health.
Okay.
All I'm asking is if he finished the season.
All right. Okay, granted, I'll let you have that. Now I will raise that is your hypothetical. I will raise your hypothetical.
You never answered the question though.
I don't know. I said I don't know. That was my answer.
Is Lamar is Lamar not the best QB1 in the division?
It doesn't matter because he doesn't have the best team.
He won't even answer the question.
It's not he doesn't have the best team.
He don't.
It's irrelevant. Because at this point, I agree. I personally believe this is quarterback wise, 1 through 4. This is the best quarterback division in football. Top to bottom.
It's not.
Top to bottom. Name a better 4th quarterback in the division that's
the AFC
better
West.
So you're gonna fine. Great.
No,
You can
I
have-
disagree with that.
No, he
'Cause-
wants to take him over Pittsburgh. He wants to take
The
Jimmy.
AFC West has four
He
better
believe-
quarterbacks
you-
than the AFC
okay,
North. Are
fine.
you serious?
Okay, what I'm saying is fine. Second best.
I'm sorry, Jimmy
not even splitting
Garoppolo
hairs.
is better than Kenny Pickett.
Great, fine. Second best. That's
Okay.
not really my point. That's
All right.
not really my point, though. My point is that there is no team in this division that has a quarterback drop off that I believe costs them wins. There's nobody in the division that I believe is a liability at quarterback. They're got some other than what you might argue Pickett, but I feel like Tom was the best coach in the sport. So I feel like that offsets that. Only thing I'm saying is nobody wants to acknowledge it. The Bengals have very few questions anywhere on the field.
At safety, they have huge questions, bro.
Wait a sec. Okay, I said the least. They have very few questions. And here's my point.
We're in a
Because
passing
we got to
league,
wrap.
right?
We got to
It's
wrap.
2023. We're in a passing league.
We got to
and
wrap.
the Bengals lost literally two of the best pair of safeties that were in football.
Let me ask you.
There's no questions.
Let me ask you. I said the least. What part of least is not clear?
Man.
I said the least amount of questions on the field of
Am
a
I making
53-man
sense,
roster.
Andre? Or am
Now,
I just talking?
Andre, let me ask you one more question. You said you gave me a hypothetical. Here's my hypothetical. Based on the past two seasons, if Joe Burrow is upright and they make the playoffs, what is your expected outcome for them?
They lose to the Ravens in the playoffs.
Based on what? What gives you
based
that
on the fact that
indication?
Snoop Huntley fumble is the only reason that the Ravens lost last year.
That's the only reason?
That is literally the only reason. Sam Hubbard
literally
returned
the
a
only
touchdown.
reason, bro.
Okay.
What are you
Shout
talking
out to
about?
Moeller High School, though. Shout out to Mohawk. But
Shout out to Logan
You're
Wilson.
gonna shout out to your alma mater, but that's the only reason. So the question. So here's all I'm saying: you can't simultaneously discount Lou Anarumo and what he's able to do. I'm not talking about you specifically.
Okay.
You
I was about to say because I think Lou is dope.
What I'm saying is you cannot simultaneously discount the Bengals as a team and make everything about Joe Burrow and what he does, knowing that Paul said it himself.
That's what Bengals
Joe,
fans do.
No, I'm not. No, listen, Paul, you just said earlier.
I shout out
that
the whole
reason
team. I'm talking about Bell and
you're
Jesse
not gonna let me-
Bates.
you ain't gonna let
I'm
me
talking
talk.
about Wilson.
You
talking about Joe Burrow.
No, I'm talking about you said it out of your lips, and I agree with you. The Bengals' defense is the reason for the season. That's the reason why they've gone as far as they have the past 2 years. I don't believe it's just because of Bates or Bell. I believe that Lou Anarumo has Big Red and Mahomes' number.
No
I
doubt.
don't believe it. Okay,
But
and so all I'm saying is
He made plays. I'm saying it's Bates.
you
Bell,
got
and
new
Wilson.
people. You got new people out there, though. Lou can scheme it up. Those two new people and the new corner that's
I-
replacing is
They're literally
replacing
getting a new
my
quarterback.
my best friend Eli Apple. I'm just saying
Replacing the whole
do something.
secondary, bro.
And all I'm saying is let's be consistent. The Steelers have replaced less people than the Browns.
The Steelers
the
haven't
Ravens.
had to replace their entire secondary in a passing league.
Okay, and all I'm saying is
The Ravens
you're-
are replacing one person.
here's all I'm saying. The Ravens were trash at the receiver position. And
Right,
replacing
and they upgraded.
and they're replacing an entire offense.
And they got better.
They got better.
Okay. Bottom line is, I said what I said.
I'm fine with it. I'm just I'm only,
all I'm saying, we got to be consistent.
I-
That's all.
We try to
I've
be
been
consistent
consistent.
with
So
you,
if the
Red.
Bengals, well, all I'm saying, if the Bengals got to replace a couple players, and then the Ravens got to replace a couple players, I'm just trying to figure out what the difference
The
is.
players that the Bengals have to replace are so important, though.
To you,
no, but
Wow.
you're saying the
Are
Bengals
we really doing this?
The
Yes.
Bengals are replacing two key people or two key people from the defense and another stalwart in Eli Apple. Like they're replacing those. I'm replacing trash with good people on the Ravens is all I'm saying.
no,
Like,
you're replacing the entire offensive system.
okay,
Bro,
but
that
you're
you act
replacing the
that
entire
doesn't work, though.
secondary.
Like people change offensive systems all the time.
Which ones do that and win a Super Bowl? Which one do that and win in the
Changes
playoffs?
an entire secondary as a Super Bowl.
No, I'm talking about winning playoff games and getting to a Super Bowl. Who does that?
Right. You sound like he said syrup.
So
I mean,
the
you-
Chiefs
you
replaced
can
their offense
disagree.
when Patrick Mahomes won the Super Bowl. They didn't have Alex Smith. They had Patrick Mahomes. The offense was completely different.
No, actually, that's not how it worked. That is not how. It worked.
Never mind. We about to wrap because now you're trying to tell me I don't know what I'm looking
No,
at.
I'm saying the Patriots beat them. That last Patriots, that was like, this is not revisionist history. This ain't about Patrick Mahomes.
So they didn't win the Super Bowl. You are correct. But they did. They came a false start away from making the Super Bowl. We'll stop there.
And here's
But the offense changed, and they did it.
And
they had success.
If you're telling me
the Tampa Bay Devil, I said Tampa Bay Devils. Jesus Christ, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers replaced their offense, and they won the Super Bowl.
And all I'm saying, here's all I'm saying. I'm gonna leave it at this: Lamar has been 1-3 in the playoffs.
No doubt.
If you're gonna tell me that they're gonna replace the whole offensive system and that's the fix, then okay, Godspeed. I'm with you.
I'm 100% telling you that's the fix.
I'm telling you, I do not believe that for a second. I believe his contract is going to be. It's going to prove to be something that sets the Ravens back for multiple seasons.
But we talking about this season.
Okay. Well, this season they're going to finish last.
Okay.
Hut.
All right. Well, that's a wrap for this session of the Gray Matters, where we have taken the time to cover each of the divisions and each of the conferences. Our next show, we will talk about our playoff predictions, picks to win the Super Bowl. Once again, we want to remind you that we are not a gambling show. We are not gambling experts. If you have gambling picks, if you consider yourself somebody who wants to do it, do not do it based on what we have told you here today. If you have a problem, go get some help. We are not the place to do it. With that, it's been a lot of fun. Like I said, join us next time when we go through our playoff predictions and predict our ultimate Super Bowl winners. You're not going to want to miss it. Once again, thank you for joining us. If you have questions and comments, you'd like to join us, give us some feedback. We always invite that on all of our platforms. And then also, just a quick teaser, we will be joining you all this season, every Wednesday, to talk about recaps, talking about what it is we disagree with and what happened, but also giving predictions on Thursday night and what's coming up. So feel free to keep following us here at the Gray Matters as we tackle the NFL all season long. Be blessed.
Hey.